In order for a company or an organization to grow, there are some strategy which the management needs to do for the company to grow. One of it is to empower his or her employee. Empowering employee is an approach to boost engagement, productivity, and overall organizational success. Good evening, televiewers, and welcome to yet another edition on the program Issues. In today's edition of the program Issues, we shall be discussing on ways to empower employees to enhance engagement and productivity in organization. You can follow us live using the Facebook page of Divine Mercy Radio and Television, or you can as well send in your contribution using the numbers you find on the screen. Stay tuned. When we come back after the break, I am going to introduce to us the guests in today's program. Welcome back, televiewers. In today's program, I am your presenter, Sarah Kum. With me here, I have two powerful, beautiful ladies. I will start with the person on my right, who is Madam Mercy Tenny, a PhD scholar and exam officer at the university, at the Biaka University here in Buea. Madam, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Auntie Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
I will now go to the powerful lady on my right, who is one beautiful, powerful lady we all know. I will not introduce this person to us. Good evening, Madam. You are welcome.
Hello, Madam Sarah. Thank you for having me on the program Issues today. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Madam Mura. Thank you for joining us.
The pleasure is mine.
Okay, we kick the ball rolling. Like we did mention above, we are going to study or to discuss on some ways which we can empower our employees so that the working environment too will be nice. I'm going to start with you, Madam Dr. Mercy. What are some of those concepts of people, organization, and management when it comes to working?
Thank you very much. We've looked at people, management, and organization. Those are three concepts. And we look at people. They are the most important components of the organization. When we look at management, we are looking at the activities, the processes, the procedures that go on within a system. And when we look at the organization, it is a composition of the humans, the material, and the financial aspects. Now, before we go in, we'll look at it. If I can ask, which comes first? You see, is it the management that comes first? Is it people or the organization? So from that light, we'll look at it, we'll see that the people who are the most important, they come first. Because you must conceive an idea. You have a vision as to what you want. Thereafter, you need to look at how am I going to go on with this vision? What kind of input will I get in order that I should attain that vision? Which is now, you are now looking at the management aspect. Thereafter, you could now turn and you ask, after you have gotten the people, you have now gotten the management part of it, how is it going to look like? None of them exist in isolation. And so all those components must come together. Then you can now decide what kind of a system am I going to constitute. That is what you are now looking at, the organization. So more will be discussed as we move ahead.
Madam Mira, I enjoyed something here. That means in an organization, the first important aspect is the fact that the people are the most important. That means the employee is the most important when it comes to organizations.
Exactly.
Can you add some light to that?
Oh, thank you so much. I think Madam Teneng has really given an explicit explanation of the different concepts. I would just like us to look at our topic of discussion, which is we're enhancing employee engagement and productivity in an organization. Now, what do we mean by employee engagement? It is that level of emotional connectivity towards work, that passion that an employee has towards achieving the set goals of the organization. And when we talk about we are talking about enhancing the engagement, and we are talking about productivity. When we talk about productivity, it is how efficient an organization is, which means that how efficient do you make use of your limited resources, which has to do with people, the material components of the organization, and the financial components of the organization in achieving specific goals. Now, like she said, organizations, they don't exist in isolation. An organization, it is a structured system in which you have responsibilities are being assigned to those who have been employed to achieve specific goals, which means that an organization does not just exist you don't just get up in the morning and you find an organization. It means before you see an organization, there is a goal that wants to be achieved. And that is why that organization is being established. And an organization does not exist in isolation. It needs people. If you have a goal and you want to achieve that goal, you need a mechanism of achievement. And that mechanism, these are the people whom you have employed. That's why in organizations, you don't just see, I cannot just walk to DMR TV and I say, okay, I am an employee of DMR TV. No, an organization employs people regarding their specific skills and competences, which means that if you're getting to an organization, you have a specific task to perform for the growth of that organization, not for your personal growth, because at times we get into organizations with different goals in our minds. But once you are employed as an employee of that organization, your personal goals must align to the organizational goals. And that's why we say organization is made up of, it's a social entity. It is made up of individuals, and it is made up of groups of people, and these groups of people, they are structured in such a way that they want to achieve a particular goal. And one other thing too about organization is that it is it has a structured let's say organigram.
That's true.
There is a clear cut reporting system, communication system, information flow. Exactly. So that is what makes an organization, and it is also important for us to know that we get into organizations with specific skills.
That's
it
true.
makes use of knowledge and skills to be able to achieve its goals.
It makes use of knowledge and skills to be able to achieve its goal. I will still stay with you, Madam Mira. There are some pertinent words you mentioned, like emotional connectivity, passion, the passion of the employee, and joining that passion with the task to link to achieve the goals of that organization. Now, who is qualified to be an employee in an organization?
Yes, who is qualified to be an employee in an organization? An organization recruits according to the needs. When you see there's a job vacancy, they'll give you the criteria of the kind of persons they want, which means that you're supposed to meet this criteria. If they need a degree holder in the area of communication, you should hold a degree. So an employee should be that person who qualifies, who fits into the criteria of an organization, who has a specific skill which the organization needs. And as an employee, you are being bounded to that organization by a contract. You don't just carry your bag and walk into DMR TV and say that, for example, I am a worker of DMR TV. No, there must be something that links the two of you together, and that basically is always the contract. And in that contract, it states your responsibilities, what you are expected to do, and it also states some of the guidelines which you have to follow as a member of that organization. So that is who an employee is.
There are some guidelines which employee needs to follow in order to suit that organization. Madam Mercy, I will come back to you. What are some of those things that is being needed, that entails to manage an organization?
Thank you very much. You know, when you look at the organization, like we say, it has its components.
Okay.
For you to manage that organization, like we say, you need the people. You start from recruiting. When you recruit, you need to onboard them. Let them know the vision that you have. You need to communicate them. Let it be simple and clear. Now, the people you are employing, they should have a passion for what they want to do. And in that light, the task assigned will actually be done well. If they perceive it, they love it, and they are on it. Now, for you to attain your goals, you must be able to give them that autonomy. Let them be able to develop. They can innovate. You allow the employees. You know, there are organizations that at times when somebody wants to come out with new ideas, they think management starts feeling a type, they begin to agitate, you know. You need to allow the employees to have some level of autonomy, which means that in your own sector, you can make quick decisions. You must not wait until the long bottlenecks to go and reach wherever. They give that autonomy. You know that this is what we are supposed to do. And if something is not moving on well, this is how we have to correct it. Therefore, management has to have a listening ear. They have to be flexible. You don't have to be so stringent or so stereotyped to your ideas. The organization has its culture where we have to follow. Those rules that they give, for example, are just simple rules. Work starts at 8 a.m. and work closes at 5 p.m. Those are basic rules. You understand them. Within this department, this is what you are supposed to do. They should be of the know. Once they are of the know, you discover that the work will flow. Now, employees, when I talk about engaging them, it means that you are not only making them autonomous, you have to do something that will motivate them. The moment an employee is satisfied with what he or she is doing, that employee becomes engaged. When you choke up people with work, they become dissatisfied. You will not expect them to really put in their best. Yeah. So at times, management too should always sit and reflect and look at the side of the employees. To making sure that you motivate them, you make them have that freedom, they can discuss, they can communicate, they should be able to grow in what they are doing. There are some organizations that the moment somebody discovers that these employees are trying to add some knowledge
to this organization,
yes,
to themselves,
they look at it that you are adding that knowledge to yourself. But they fail to understand that the moment you are improving on yourself, you will also improve at the job site. And then as you are improving yourself through training and development, you will be able to become more creative. You become more innovative, which that will now enhance productivity. So if you cannot engage your employees, you should not expect that at the end of the day, the goals that you have actually set, you should meet those goals. You should be flexible. Give them that freedom to make sure, yes, that they know that we are valued. What we are doing is being valued, is being appreciated. And so that gives you the zeal, it gives you the courage to do more. Thank you.
Give them that freedom. I like some words which you did mention. I like the word flexible, motivation, communication. And I like the fact that we started this by saying that the people are the most important in an organization. But most often the management sits behind and takes some rules to govern this organization. Is it that some of those rules, they need to work in accordance with their employee before getting to that level of having a complete rule to govern an organization? What are some of those rules that you feel like management sits and draft them without them knowing that their employee, they are supposed to get them involved by communicating so that they make this organization to be a wonderful one? But what are some of those goals, those rules of management to that organization, which may be good, but because of what we are saying, maybe they are sitting alone and taking them? Madam Mira.
Yes, I think I want to say, because in your when you're asking your question, you mentioned the fact that is it that organizations or managers must sit with the employees before they come to a certain decision. I will say 80% of it, yes. We know that in an organization there is a global vision, and all of you are working towards that. Now, there are times when you need to strategize to ensure that goals and objectives are being achieved as desired. And who are those concerned to achieve those goals? They are employees. And let me let you know this, that employees may decide to frustrate you if you don't recognize them. Now, recognition has to do with making them, valuing them. They used to say, yeah, place D. You understand? It's making your workers understand that you value their intellectual capacity, their intellectual contributions, as well as their physical contributions. Now, when you sit down your employees, and let's take, for example, you want to put a rule on the time for work, and you say work begins from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the dot. Break starts from 1 to 1:30, and you just send it out. Remember, there are times when employees do work more than 5 p.m.
That's true.
And so when you sit in your little office and you think that putting this rule and implementing it is going to solve the organizational, maybe there is a problem which you want to address, without consulting or without discussing with your employees, they may decide to frustrate you. Because when you call them, put them to the table, and the way you talk to people, even in your house, when you have something to tell the children, the way you call them and you make them understand that as kids, they're also important. Their contribution is also important. They give you a listening ear, and they tell you, Mommy, but I'm thinking that maybe we should instead wash plates in the evening, so that early in the morning we are hurrying to go to school, not that we wash plates in the morning. And so that you see that the whole idea changes, but it does not change the goal. So if you want to come up with a decision, it is just okay for managers to bring employees on board and throw this to them. Meanwhile, in you have the final decision, because you have the bigger picture of the organization. If your aim is to ensure that employees put in 8 hours of work, there is a way to go about it. You call them and you explain the reason why you think work should begin at 8 and end at 4. And you explain the reasons why you think break should begin at 1 and end at 1:30. And in that discussion, someone may say, okay, but manager, we think that instead of 8, why not 7:30? So that we come early enough and we hurry and we go back home and meet our families. Because that's something that we also fail to understand. You know, we have imported the Western theories of management, where we do not Africanize our management system, where we believe so much in what the white man they say or they said. These are the theories, these are the principles, forgetting to understand that we are in Africa and our own culture is different. We value family life, but in the Western world, family life
times.
it really doesn't have so much value. So I think in taking decisions as a manager, when you sit your employees, they get that their level of engagement increases because
That's
they
true.
feel valued and they own the decision. It's not like, okay,
It is
that's what
me.
manager talk now, someone will come up for 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, don't come now. 5 o'clock, every employee, whether their task has been
Done.
done or not,
not.
everybody is packing the bags to
Yes.
go. But when you make when the decision is collective, they own that decision and they
They
work
feel
towards
valued.
achieving the organizational goals. Because don't forget, the main idea is to achieve organizational goals.
The main aim is to achieve organizational goal, and we should value our employees. Do not make them less important. Let us bring them on board. Let us appreciate them. I never knew this would get to this level, Madam Mira. I want to say thank you, my Lord Bishop, for this medal recognition for a work well done. It shows that they also value us in our diocese and they appreciate our work. That is why we are discussing and begging the management of different organizations to at least bring their employee on board and value them. Madam Mercy, I would like to come back to you. I want us to discuss some of those factors that can hinder employee from engaging into work, from giving their all.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I land on that, I want to make some little contribution as to what we were discussing. You know, we have two concepts that every organization is always using, but at times they use them interchangeably.
Okay.
You talk about performance appraisal. You talk about performance management. One gave birth to another. Performance appraisal actually gave birth to performance management. And that is why every organization talks about performance management. But most often, they don't use it. Because if you see originally from the performance appraisal system, information flow used to be from top to bottom. It was instructional. It was never going back up. But if we look at, and if institutions or organizations have to actually expect some level of performance management, then they should have that free flow of communication. And we should understand that performance management, therefore, it is a continuous process. It's a systematic way of improving your employees, improving the workplace as a whole, improving your systems, such that the organization should be able to attain the goals. So if you miss out on this continuous process by giving feedback, then you will discover that employees might at one point get lost because they will not understand whether what they are doing is positive or
negative.
Voilà. So now, looking at the kinds of things that can actually hinder employees from getting engaged, look at it. Poor communication. Once you don't communicate well, they might not even know what to do. If you don't train them, you have to give them some courses. You allow them build self-confidence in what they are doing. Let them have more knowledge, more skills. They should acquire them and be able to grow. You don't block them, or you don't start penalizing people, changing people from A to B because you discover that they are trying to get knowledge. You see, at times we used to sit and say, reduce dullness. So the moment you don't allow your employees to reduce dullness, you should not expect productivity. Yes. Then you see that if you don't motivate them, you should also look at their workload. Don't overload them. Don't over congest work. There should be work-life balance. You know, these employees have families and they need time with their families. So they should be able to a work-life balance. Now you should be able to understand that you need to provide the necessary material. You should have that listening ear. The moment employees complain about something, it means that they need it in order that they should progress.
That's true.
And we know that organizations are structured. There is always a formal way of doing things. But then that social aspect, which brings in those informal groups. They are very important because they help build a social bond within the people. You can discover that people within a certain department can decide now to informally create maybe something like Njangi. It binds them together. Once they sit during this Njangi period, they can be discussing, and then they discuss work-related issues. And now people will bring up ideas, and you see that from there now some will develop a creative mind. Things that they did not understand, maybe they can just discuss it casually, but you see that it is going to build them. The fact that there is a good relationship between employees. So management should always allow those informal groups to exist because they help in bonding themselves as employees, and that guides them towards maintaining a good culture within that organization. The moment we are together, I cannot be doing something that it will not be good. At least you will tell me that no. This thing is not supposed to be done like this now. Let's do easy to it. Even if they scolded you, they did not appreciate you for what you are doing. You see, at times we say, time will tell. One day, me too, it will reach. You just talked about your mother, and she was just saying that as we are pushing hard, one day the medal will reach. I also received a medal this Labor Day for hard work. So you
Congratulations.
See, thank you. So you see, you make your employers now feel very, very comfortable. There are those things, but the moment you start keeping stringent rules, we know you have to be strict, but don't be too stringent. Yes, there should be some flexibility. You might say work starts at 8. I come in at 9. I come in at 10. Don't start scolding me in front of others.
Exactly.
Because the colleagues are different. Employees, you have those that are younger, you have those that are older, those that have. So each people have their own ways of perceiving things. You can do like that, you demoralize me. I might not be very comfortable that day, and maybe I had good things to do. The mindset is already destabilized. So you need to watch, observe, and you can call, and you just say, please, it's like you have been coming late this time. What's happening? Yes. And then you have that communication. Like I said, most organizations today are using the performance management system. They are gradually leaving the appraisal system, where all that employees need to do is to go and gossip employees. Or your boss sits, you are doing something wrong, the boss will not be able to tell you, give you feedback, will write, but something I used to tell my students that they go and put in their small briefcase and they are rushing to the manager's office. I say, I'm going, you can even hit their leg and fall. And you have a wound. That is something that you would have just called the person
and discuss
with the person.
Feedback is always very necessary.
And before, maybe I know you have a question, but let me just cue into what Madam Teneng said, because when we talk about recognition, when you don't recognize your employees, they feel like the efforts they are making is not good enough.
That's true.
And so they go back into their shelf and confine themselves within just the task which has been allocated to them. They don't go beyond. But when you are recognized, and some people will misunderstand recognition for finance, for financial motivation. No, you must not recognize by motivating somebody financially. I don't think that medal which came from Rome, they gave you any money attached to it. Nothing was given to you. But that recognition that in a mass where you had the apostolic nuncio present, your name was called cum sara for the contributions to youth in the Diocese of Buea. We recognize you for your hard work. In your heart, you say, my place there. So it gave you an extra motivation to put in more. So when workers are not recognized, it hinders their level of engagement within the workplace. So I think that's what I just wanted to ask. And when you have a toxic working environment, you know, if you look at our African society, we spend most of our time at the job site.
That's true.
And very little time at home. And when you're leaving your house, coming to your job site, and having that that you already know that it's going to be hell for me today. If someone sees me discussing with Madame Teneng, that person thinks that that discussion is centered around his or her name.
That's true.
You know, if you want to bring up an initiative, somebody somewhere thinks that this person wants to challenge me. So when you have that toxic working environment, it hinders creativity, it hinders innovation, and so enhancement in the job site can never be attained.
We should not keep negativity around us. Rather, let us embrace positive mindsets. Like we used to get these a working environment, the management, they are always your father or your mother. So they are there to bind all the employees together. So let the management in every organization take it as it should be. Learn to bring your employees together, motivate them, appreciate them. Like Madam Mercy mentioned, we have left performance appraisals and we are using performance management. Let us go back to performance appraisals. Madam Mirabel, I will stay back with you. Now we are talking about binding them together. When they are binded together, when they are joined together, what are some of those things that can bring productivity when employees are binded together, when that love is there?
Yes, I think one of the very first thing, even when you apply as someone who wants to be recruited, most often the human resource manager will ask you, are you a team player? If you come into an organization and you cannot work as a team player, then you are good enough not to be in that organization. Because organizations work as a team. You know, teamwork plays a lot to be successful. I take, for instance, we are here on this program. This is a set.
Yes.
Yeah. And we have the cameramen are behind the camera. The broadcaster is there. The presenter is there, and the guests are here to share their knowledge. Which means that it is teamwork.
That's true.
If the presenter is not there, this program will not hold.
Exactly.
If the camera guys are not there to bring you the images, the program will not definitely hold. And if the broadcasting unit is extremely down or completely down, we'll have no issues today. And so that is just one key aspect. Teamwork. As an employee, you must be ready to work as a team, irrespective of your personal differences. Your differences. When you come to the workplace, you must be able. You know, we are brought up in from different homes. We have different mentalities. But once you are at the job site, you must be able to drive away or shift away those differences and accommodate others in the workspace. I think that's one way in which employees can improve productivity at the job site. Another way too is to allow for growth, personal growth, because sometimes employees are so contented with themselves that they think that their advanced level is just okay. We're not saying that you must go up to a PhD level, but we live in evolving times. Things are changing. The world is getting more digital. So will you stay in the confine of your... You just want to be in the olden days while people are using different methods of achieving results within the shortest period of time? So you have to also evolve. You have to ensure that you learn new skills. Learn new skills to improve on yourself, like Madame Teneng said. If you're improving on yourself, automatically you're improving on the organizational productivity.
Team spirit is the goal for every organization. When we come together, we have come with different objectives but one goal: to help this organization grow. So as employee, let us have that team spirit. Leave your house with whatsoever you have in mind, come to your work site, join together with others so that the team spirit grows and the company and what your management to enjoy what you have come to give in. Madam Missy, I'll come now to you. What are some of those steps that should be taken to foster productivity in a working environment?
Okay, thank you very much. Like we're saying, you know, by the time you bring in employees, you need to actually train them, build their skills, build their abilities, build their competencies, make them have that confidence in what they are doing. Let them also have confidence in what you are doing. As a leader, as a manager, if there is no accountability, there will be no trust.
That's true.
Then you don't expect that there is going to be productivity. Give them the necessary resources that they will need in order to achieve productivity. Bring in those systems. Learn to adapt and bring in changes. She has just rightly said it. The world is evolving. You cannot remain. We should be able to accept new ideas, accept new technology, new ways of doing things. It shouldn't be, not be so we do. Yes, not be so we do, but this is now the new way.
Exactly.
Yes. So we should be able to learn it and then we move on with it. Yes. You should give them those necessary resources. Make them feel that, okay, we can also take some decisions. If, for example, you are carrying out some production process and you discover that, hey, if this machine is having a problem, you can decide to change the design of what you are doing. It means that you are empowering your employees. Then management should be able to appreciate them. If you see the design comes out a little bit different, don't start scolding them. Somebody might have seen, we're in a competitive world. Somebody might have seen that, you see, this kind of design is what is selling in the market. Yes. Mm-hmm. So we should also try it. And so that way, if we succeed, then we'll move on. But the moment you see the design and you start, who asked you to turn the machine the other way? Who asked? You know, you demoralize the
person.
And then that skill in that person is buried. The person now will continue in that same way. You will not attain productivity. You need to allow them use what they have in them. Use the passion that they have. Use the likeness that they have for that job to create those things that will be less costly. But they'll be able to maximize profit. Because that is just what you want. If you cannot have profit, you will not be able to pay your bills. You will not be able to take care of your employees. Even you as the manager, you will not be able to ride good cars, put on good suits, because it is from what those employees are doing. That you are living in a good house, eating well, dressing well, having a good car. It is because there's input from somewhere. And you need to nourish that input.
That place that is coming.
Yes, that is coming from, so that you can attain productivity. You should be able to allow people to bring up ideas. Because at times, management, in most cases, they don't want ideas. They want
very rigid.
Yes. So, like we are saying that we are in a performance management system where everything is continuous.
That's true.
It is moving and going, and you are giving feedback. So, at times, feedback is very important. If you don't give them feedback, they will not be able to understand whether they were moving at the right direction or backward. Yes. Just like we're talking about the managers and the employees discussing today, that's one of the aspects of performance management. Which means we sit down, we come out with what we really want, because you have the idea, you have the vision. We should share, so that if I'm going in, I understand that this is my direction. But if you don't bring, it's like you are just still giving me those instructions from up. And at times I can take them,
I can leave it.
I do what I want. I might have input, I will not even want to bring them in. So we see that there are so many of those things that management has to actually do in order that you attain your productivity.
Madam Sarah, let me just add something before maybe we continue. I think, like you rightly said, Madam Tening, our management system, sometimes we do forget about employee appraisal.
Yes.
That's true.
How often do we evaluate our employees? Because we don't only evaluate employees when we think, sometimes you just say, okay, evaluation is coming next week, just because you have seen that maybe an employee is failing somewhere. But you evaluate to understand the strength and the weaknesses of employees in particular areas, so that you can be able to strategize and improve on where they are weak, and give them a pat on the back on where they are strong. So we always forget about evaluating employees, and that also hinders productivity at the job site. There is also one important thing. Managers should always ensure that this issue that we are talking about, work-life balance, is something which is missing in our management system in Africa, because we are so much focused on the work in the office. We forget to understand that if your employee is not mentally or emotionally stable, that employee cannot perform. Yes, you cannot give what you don't have. You can only reproduce when you are in a good state of mind. Because sometimes you see managers, they tell you, okay, I'm asking for permission for 2 days, and the manager tells you, no, your number of your days of permission has been exhausted for the week. When my child is sick, is lying in the hospital, and you expect me to be at the job site because my contract says that you have 3 days per month and I've exhausted that? No. Managers should learn to be flexible. In Africa, understand that our families matter a lot. We work for those families. If you see me going to work, it's because I want a good life for my family. So I cannot compromise the well-being of my family because of work. I know that sometimes workers too exaggerate. They bring in lies and the rest. But when you see that someone is genuine, you should be able, as a manager, to find out, is this a genuine case? And be more flexible with your decision making. Thank you.
We should be flexible in decision making. We should treat our employee the same way we can treat ourselves. I wanted to talk on this training. Training is very important. But most often you get employees saying that 5 years experience. I'll talk without missing words. I can stand in front of the camera today talking boldly because I had continuous training. Thanks to my employer.
I'm not the employer, please. I'm just an enabler.
Okay, we'll take this contribution. Good evening, Madam Sarah, and all the panelists, especially to my beautiful mirror. Great topic there. Just to add, the psychology of the employee is of great importance to enhance productivity. The manager has to understand the subordinate, sharing their joys and sorrows, etc. This is coming from Dr. Senge. Good evening, Doc. It's been long. Thank you for this wonderful contribution.
Thank you, Doctor.
I want us to talk on this just small. Most often, management do not share with their employee. Maybe they think that it's all about money. Maybe an employee has something and come and tell the management, and they will like, well, I have an envelope for you, and does not come to that environment. How you, like an employee, how will you feel?
No, I will not feel okay.
Okay.
I think that if I have something and I sit and I see my boss coming, in fact, everything, if it were, for example, a sad event, you just everything turns into joy.
Yes.
You will be happy telling people that, okay, this is my boss. This is my boss. And then you start, just that act that you'll be struggling to look for where the person has to sit. You feel that,
valued.
So this person actually values me. This person actually is seeing the things that I am doing. It means that there is no social stratification. He is not seeing that because he's right up there. I can remember we went somewhere and they were giving food. They brought us plastic plates. And because the person turned and discovered that the boss was seated there, the person went and was looking for a breakable plate to come and give. And she said, what is it? Say, no, I want to go and look for. Say, why? Bring me, put it in that food plate and give me. So that you don't feel too different. the person makes you feel that so this person can come to this level, you see. But and then if you have a joyous event, you see the person coming, it is not just the envelope at times.
Exactly.
At times that envelope is necessary to help you organize. But the physical presence, what if everybody gives you an envelope and says, what will you do with the envelopes?
Yeah.
So that physical presence speaks volumes.
Let us struggle to be one another's keeper in time of joy, in time of sorrow. I will take this contribution. Good evening. I am Simke from Yaoundé. Your program is interesting and knowledgeable. I have the following worry. 1. The meaning of an employee or worker. 2. Rights and duties of a worker. 3. What are some of the conditions to be fulfilled before investing in an OHANA member state like Cameroon? For example, Nigeria, who is not a member of OHANA. It's like maybe he's asking a Nigerian who is not a member of that association. What are some of the legal mechanisms put in place to protect workers' rights in Cameroon? We appreciate a lot, and I will communicate. Thank you for your contribution. That it is coming from Simke from Yaoundé. So he has 3 questions. The meaning of an employee.
Okay, let's go systematically.
Okay.
I think we just take the first question because we're running out of time.
Yeah. An employee is someone, is an individual or a group of persons who have accepted to work for somebody with a due pay, which it could be what we call salary. That is an employee. And that employee has a contract that you have to sign with the employer. And the conditions, if you want to become an employee, means you have accepted to the conditions of that work. So that is an employee.
I would just want you to take the second question. What are some of the rights and duty of a worker?
There are so many rights that the worker has.
Okay.
You have, first of all, you have the right to enjoy every privilege that is attached to that company concerning your work. You have the right to be covered by the labor law. So you cannot just be treated anyhow. You cannot be dumped out at any time. If that is done, you can sue them. You'll be compensated. If you yourself, you find maybe another pleasing job and you want to leave, there are terms that you have to do. You must notify them either 1 month, 2 months beforehand. If not, they will sue you that you are owing them and you have to pay. So there are those laws that are actually protecting employees. It's just that most often we don't want to exploit them. Yes.
Okay, Ma'amira, I'm sure 2 questions, we have answered 2 questions. As
I think the other one with the OHADA and Nigeria, I'm sorry, we cannot really give you an explicit explanation of that.
I would just want you to say some last word in regards to management and employee. How can we build trust?
Yes, I think that employees, we also have a lot to do in terms of building trust and accountability at the job site, because we take work for granted a lot. Sometimes employees do take work for granted a lot. You must build trust. What do we mean by trust? Someone should be able to, your employer should know that if a task is handed to you, no, Mirabel is going to do it and will go beyond expectations and will do it on time. With that, you build trust. You know, managers and organizations, they are focused on efficiency and productivity, using the limited resources that they have to deliver the desired result within a specific period of time. And so if you have a task that has been assigned to you and that task has to be accomplished within 2 days, and you take your time After 5 days, the manager is asking you what is happening. You start giving complaints. That you become more of a problem than a solution. So that hinders the productivity of that workplace, and no management or organization want to keep you. Yeah. So as an employee, we have to ensure that we build that trust, and we should be accountable. Employees now, we have this common saying that go the job now for play the time. We are not accountable, especially when it comes to tasks that involves the use of finances. You request for finances to carry out a particular task, you inflate the finances, and you cannot even justify how that was used, and nobody sees results. How do you expect your management to have trust in you? So we have to work on ourselves. We have to work on ourselves so much so that we are able to build that trust. We are able to be accountable at the job site.
But I'm singing.
Sorry. But I'm telling.
I want to hear some words, especially words of building trust from employee to their organization.
Well, thank you very much. You know, we always say what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
If you are an employer and you have employed somebody, you who is the employee, you should, in everything that you are doing, you should ask yourself that if you were in the other person's shoe, how will you normally treat this person? You see that it will give you a line of thought, and you'll be able to sit upright. You will build self-confidence. You know, at times we talk about integrity. That is something, is a value that if you incorporate in everything that you do, you see that your manager, your employer will actually have confidence and trust in you. Because if you have integrity, you will not go to devices. You will not go to doing those things that are not palatable. No. You understand that this is what I'm supposed to do, so that we can move forward. I shouldn't be the person retarding the organization. For every task, no matter what, I should do it before I complain. At least they always say obedience before complaint. So you have to sweat it out. Then you tell them now your difficulties, because one of the problems we have is that employees don't always tell the employers their difficulties. Yes. If they understand you are challenged at the job site, that's why we started saying that resources need to be provided. If, for example, they want you to do this beautiful job and they don't give you mics, how do they expect you to
work?
You cannot do it. So they should give you the necessary resources, and you, who is the user, you should be able to also tell them that this is what is needed. And because you are advancing, if you are advancing, you'll be able to tell them that, okay, please, we have been using this kind of technology. I think this new one has come. And since we are in a competitive world, I would prefer that we should get this, train ourselves, and then we'll move on.
We should get things and get them done. This last contribution. Thank you so much to all. The program has really nourished us, especially to the education family, especially those teachers. Thank you so much for your contribution, Madam Ayok Geraldine. We'll round it up today. In all, we are saying that let us cherish one another. Management, value your employee. Appraise them. Do not only condemn, but learn to live as one. To employee, value your work. Be truthful. Be committed. Cherish whatsoever you are doing. Do not just do it because you want money. Do it out of passion, so that the goals and achievement in that organization will be achieved. I leave you with a wonderful program. Until then, we'll see again next week, Friday, for yet another topic on the program issue. Bye-bye.